they cover all parts of life. They covered feeling happy one day. They covered feeling awful one day. They cover the day I saw a zebra on BBC. They cover the day a hawk flew and almost went into my windshield. Just all the different things in life that we feel, that we experience, that we see, and looking at them and saying, I wonder what that was.
Aloha, I'm Colleen Akiko, welcoming you to the fourth segment of the series, Making Connections with Donna Apidone. In this episode, TransForMission and Drive Time Meditations centering on your purpose, we'll discover some of Donna's non-NPR roles, including author, producer, speaker, and teacher. She shares not only what she does, but the how and the why behind it all. We'll hear how simple reflections and meaningful connections can open to deep transformation in our lives. So enjoy hearing this intriguing, unique, and purposeful episode. I'm thinking about another unfolding. This book and course you started before you retired. TransForMission is what I'm thinking of.
TransForMission started in 2005.
Okay.
Long before I retired and long before I was ordained, anything like that.
Really? Okay, I had not put that together. That's interesting. So, did you find after your ordination,
or ordinary, whichever.
Did you find that what you had written before still held water? Or is it different? Or
The way this whole thing started was that I mentioned earlier life in my personal life and trying to figure out who I was after that. And I was, how do I go about this? How do I sort of start all over again? How do I put the pieces in order and put one foot in front of the other? And for many years, I have used a communication theory tool called Monroe's motivational sequence. It's persuasion theory. And I turned to that because it's 5 steps. And I thought, I can handle 5 steps right now, maybe not any more than that. If I can just put my foot in front of me 5 times, maybe I'll be walking. So I used that tool and just applied some other criteria to what persuasion theory is and came up with the TransForMission path. It's a 5-step process to find your purpose. But I didn't do this for anybody else. It started out being, I need to find my purpose. And I was in a group who said, well, why don't you show us what you figured out there? And they started talking to more and more people about it and it became class. And then eventually somebody said, why do you give us handouts every week? Why don't you just write all this stuff down and put it in a book? Oh, there is an idea. Right, it's like 113 pages. It's a tiny, tiny book, but it lays it all out. What I never said in the book was I never explained how it was associated with persuasion theory, and I also never said in the book that it came from a personal loss. Those were like, I don't know, maybe people won't resonate with that, so I'm not going to say those 2 things. But it still holds up. I started this 20 years ago.
wow.
It still holds up, and it gets richer and deeper every time because I'm still learning from it. I'm teaching it, but I'm in front of the room going, oh my gosh, listen to what that person just taught me. Oh, listen to what that person just taught me. It's a very interactive class. I've taught it at congregations for all these years, and just a couple of years ago started teaching it at Renaissance Society at Sacramento State University, which is a set of classes uniquely cultivated and offered to people who are roughly over 55, 60 years old. These people walk into the room who are At first I thought, hey, I'm at a university. I'll bet these are all really highly educated people. They're not. There are all kinds of people who just don't want life to pass them by, who want to know what their purpose is, who feel like they have something to offer on some level. Most of them are retired, but at all ages. And I think as a couple of them aren't quite retired. They walk into this room and they sit down, and I start going through, my expectations are we'll be respectful, we'll just talk one at a time, we won't interrupt. Oh, they're way beyond that. They're way beyond. Yeah, we know. We got the drill. Okay. So what do you do? And in the first session, they realize that they have to be vulnerable. You realize that in order to find out who they are and find that purpose, they have to be really open with everybody in the room. It's very interactive. The last group I had, this is I was so blown away. I never let more than 20 people in the room because then the dynamic is too much. And I try to make it not fewer than 10 because then there isn't enough of a dynamic. The last group came in, and it was supposed to be a 6-week class. And after the first 3 weeks, they said, would you continue for 12 weeks like the full semester instead of just 6? Would you give us more than that? And I thought, well, okay. I know we all get something out of this, so I'll do that. And then they said, well, we want to take a few weeks off during the summer, but will you come back just with our group? Don't let new people in, but just come back with our group for fall semester too, for another 12 weeks. This is the most amazing group of people, really. I say the most amazing group of people, and I realize it excludes a lot of other people. That's not fair. But they're extraordinary. We've bonded in a way, we have bonded in a way I didn't expect. There are no recordings of those sessions because people are speaking so deeply and so openly that I will not allow recordings. Nobody can come visit us. If you don't start with us, you certainly can't.
Yeah.
A beautiful, beautiful group of people look at themselves so deeply. It has been a spiritual experience to be with them. I know other groups will not be like that, quite like that. Other groups will be wonderful. This was unique, and it taught me so much. And one of the things it taught me by spending a year with them is what is possible if we do this work for more than 6 weeks. It also taught me new ways to, because I had to go from 6 to 12 that's 24 weeks now. That's half a year included in 1 year. What's the best way for me to lead this group? What's the best way for me to continue to make them productive, still learn from them, but carry out what I'm learning for them in real time? It's been extraordinary. We left each other on December 6th and we were crying.
Oh my.
Like, what are we going to do next Friday? It's
class reunions in the future.
So that's it in a nutshell. It's a 5-step path. It's when I say it's based in persuasion theory, it's because we're opening in persuasion. You open up so much that you find yourself doing something different. Maybe I'm persuading you to take out the garbage, but eventually you open up to that and you accept it. And that's sort of what's happening here. We're opening up ourselves to find out what's really deep inside and find purpose. Yes, the book has held up for 20 years. I just had a doctor who I've gotten to know recently, a couple of months ago, and I said, I'm wondering if I should do a sequel. And he said, I can't think of anything that you would add except maybe new case studies. He said, everything you've laid out is just as it needs to be. I'm not sure you can do anything more with it. So I get to holding up.
That is really, really neat, because it sounds like there's a structure or a framework in what came to you back in 2005. And isn't it beautiful that when we're raw and bleeding and we need to bandage ourselves, that we reach out and we find these tools or modalities or teachings that are life-giving to us. And then when we're not bleeding anymore and we're healing up, we share them and they're life-giving and helpful to others. I found that as a coach and a friend, different roles, that's where the life is. When we are so raw and on the edge and it's sharp and we're still getting cut as we're trying to take care of ourselves. And then we find something that holds us together, which of course we're not separate from all these who are also cut and raw and having a rough time. And so we offer, and here we are. It sounds like this group you're describing, maybe they were providentially gathered up in a corral called a class because they were ready. they were ripe and ready. Well, you were all ready together. And I feel this when I speak or share music with groups. When I come I don't even know what the word is. I feel very raw sometimes. But we all attune with each other, and the dynamic in the group has its own life form. I don't know what that's called exactly, but it is really mystical.
It's mystical and it's magical. It's never ending because it's about purpose. We're not just going into a room and having counseling or something. We're going into a room with the purpose of finding purpose. It does end up being that Buddhist saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, yeah, they were all there.
You had a class full of teachers appearing. Yes, it is really wonderful that when we drop the agenda and show up, and it does help to have a worthy framework, which you've put together. We don't know what happens, but it's life-giving because in some way it is life that is showing up and breathing us and moving us to share in this and that way and to hear in ways that we have never heard before. Kind of like the inner Star Trek, right?
Going to work where no man has gone before. The inner Star Trek, that's so good.
It just popped up. It is
around. It's so good. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
And
just no.
We don't.
Girls.
Yeah. It does remind me a bit of also your drive time meditations. I, as a music person, I love how you put out some distilled words and they have life. Each word has its own frequency, its own vibration. And so the word kind of goes out in a very easy way. And then there's a little music. So we can just kind of process it all the way through our bodies. That way, for me, is beckoning some personal exploration in what I do and what I share also. And maybe even in this podcast to, use the music. The waves go in and out a little bit, and then something else. It's really beautiful. I like them a lot.
I like them too. We should explain it. It's a book called Drive Time Meditation, but there are recordings too.
That's what I haven't seen the book, but I have heard the recordings.
They're all 1 page long. There are 183 of them. I started writing them during COVID. Just sort of as I didn't want to write a traditional, here's what I've done today kind of journal. So I started writing these things and I'd write them as soon as I woke up. I figured that was when those thoughts and that heart was in me and I was getting up early to go to work at the station at the time, which meant that I had to get up at like 1:30 in the morning to write these things, but that's when it was so clear and so real. And I stopped writing when I ran out of things that I wanted to say. When I ran out and stopped writing, I have reached 183 meditations. And then I looked at that number and I said, isn't that interesting? So if you go through the book twice, you've got leap year.
High five.
Wasn't planned that way, but if you read one a day. So I recorded them. I set them to music that comes from just an adorable musician who I discovered who lives in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I came across his work. But yeah, he provides all of the music for these recordings, and they're on Substack. You can find them there pretty easily. They're all one page long in the book, and all 2 to 3, like less than 5 minutes, maybe 2 to 3-ish minutes as recordings. And they cover all parts of life. They covered being happy one day. They covered feeling awful one day. They cover the day I saw a zebra on BBC. They cover the day a hawk flew and almost went into my windshield. Just all the different things in life that we feel, that we experience, that we see, and looking at them and saying, I wonder what that was. I wonder what that was. And they're only called drive time meditations because I worked in drive time radio for so long. And
Yes.
it occurred to me that if I was waking up and writing them, if a person were to wake up and listen to one every day, maybe on their commute, maybe before they got in the car or on the bus or on the subway, that it would set a tone for the day.
Setting a tone. I like that. And it seems for me that it gives my mind enough to center on without the pressure of like, oh, I've got to stop all my thoughts. That's very stressful for me. but my mind is given a worthy thought to just contemplate, turn it over and kind of feel it out, breathe a bit, and then there's another one. And that's so simple, but it feels like more and more that's what I'm being drawn back to. Maybe it's my second childhood or something, but simplification, is things being more distilled, more simple. And this simplification is by no means making it inferior in any way. If anything, it's making it more clear and helping me be more effective with 180 things.
Yeah. And they're on an app that is for families with trauma. An organization that I became aware of was putting together this app, mostly for teens and young adults with trauma, but it turns out to be for families in general who've experienced some kind of trauma. Young people who are going through what is called social and emotional learning, SEL. How can they get some courage? How can they be a little lighter? Because when I was 14, I walked around like this and everything was a bummer. So every one of these, without saying, hey, get up and go, every one of these is meant to be a little bit motivation to take you, as you said, take you from where you are to where you can be. And just like, the Wizard of Oz, where they open the door and everything's in Technicolor all of a sudden, from black and white to color. That's what I wanted each one of these meditations to do, to just let you see through that door what the possibilities are. And then maybe eventually you might step over that threshold.
Well, you make it feel very safe. And like it would be a really good thing to step through that door. I'd like it because I'm starting to feel it a little bit already. I just appreciate that so much.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you for saying that.
Inspiring, isn't it? To learn and hear how Donna's class, book, and recordings materialized. Here's a little replay of something she said that I especially loved.
We're opening up ourselves to find out what's really deep inside and find purpose.
And here's a teeny tiny clip from one of her 3 to 5 minute drive time meditations. You can access more info about these on her website, donnaapidone.com. That's Donna, APIDONE.com. And also, you'll find some continuing the conversation resources, including a special journal with self-reflective prompts from these podcast episodes at songrise.live. That's songrise.live. So make sure to catch the 5th and final segment of Making Connections with Donna Apidone, called fear a stop sign or a doorway. Until then, love and grace to you as you center on your purpose.
I take this opportunity to look. To see. To acknowledge.
Thank you for listening to this episode of We Be the Change. Did it spark any thoughts you'd like to share with us? We'd love to hear them. Just head over to the contact page at songrise.live. That's SONGRISE.LIVE. Write which episode you're responding to in your message, and we'll respond with a surprise gift just for you. It's a token of our huge appreciation for your time and your attention. And please remember, your reviews are a great help to us as well. So, until next time, this is Colleen Akiko, thanking you for showing up to be the change.